Good evening and welcome to the API, a program produced, presented and aired Tuesdays and Thursdays by the Agency for Public Information. We keep you up to date with all the latest developments in government policies and projects. On today's program, there was much to celebrate at the 40th anniversary of Fisherman's Day, which took place at the Calico Fisheries Center on Monday, May 25th. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines is among 5 other countries within the region to be selected to compete in a National Marine Pride Public Relations campaign. The details to these stories when we return, but first, here is Newswatch with Kishore Woodley.
Good evening. Welcome to Newswatch. I am Kishore Woodley. Farmers in Fancy have seen the need to organize themselves into a cohesive group to combat the unavailability of planted materials by establishing their own vegetable nursery.
Through a simple talk, a small idea grew into an amazingly great success, with even more greater establishments to follow. Like all other groups, and hearing the name of our group, the main objective is to provide a wide variety of vegetables, seedlings to the farmers at an affordable price throughout the year.
The group has already gone ahead by hosting several startup activities with the help of Extension and Advisory staff, District Officer Noel Samuel, and Regional Supervisor Leroy Jackson of the Ministry of Agriculture. The launch of the Fancy Vegetable Farmers Cooperative took place on May 7th. Their motto is, "Eat healthy, live longer." On to health. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment advises Vincentians to take the necessary precautions in light of the mosquito-borne Zika virus outbreak in Brazil, which could possibly spread to other Caribbean islands, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Zika virus is similar to dengue, with symptoms which include fever, joint and muscle pain, conjunctivitis, headache, weakness, rash, and swelling of the lower limbs. After the bite of an infected mosquito, symptoms usually appear following the incubation period of 3 to 12 days. The symptoms last for 4 to 7 days. No deaths due to the Zika virus have been recorded worldwide to date. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment takes this potential threat very seriously and urges Vincentians to do their part to prevent mosquito breeding and so help to reduce any possibility of the introduction of the Zika virus into the island. There is no specific vaccine or treatment for the virus, and so personal responsibility is critical. 17 non-commissioned officers of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force are better equipped to execute their roles as middle managers after participating in a 2-week development course which concluded on Friday, May 15th. At the closing ceremony, Commandant of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force Training School, Assistant Superintendent of Police, Telka Andrews, said the institution has a mandate to provide adequate quality training for the members of the organization to assist their development and effectiveness as police officers. Finally, on Newswatch, Friday 22nd of May marked the International Day for Biological Diversity. The theme for this year's celebration is Biodiversity for Sustainable Development. Biodiversity is essential for human well-being, for recreation, medicine, livelihoods, and achieving sustainable development. To celebrate International Day for Biodiversity 2015, the Eastern Caribbean Marine Managed Areas Network project will be featuring our marine life, which plays an important economic role in our country and which we need to preserve, protect, and sustainable use in order to support our sustainable development and growth as a small island nation. The project, which was launched in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in February 2014, is another initiative geared towards achieving sustainability of our vital marine resources and ties in with the goals set out by the Convention on Biological Diversity to be achieved by the year 2020. The project is being implemented by the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority and is funded by the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature, Conservation, Building and Nuclear Safety through the Nature Conservancy. In recognition of this day, the Eastern Caribbean Marine Managed Areas Network is appealing to the public to take the necessary actions towards protecting the environment, both on land and in the sea, as our existence and our future depends on it. That is all we have for Newswatch. Good evening. I am Keisha Woodley.
Don't worry them, buy some fresh Caribbean fish from me.
Don't bother with him, man. You buy some conch from me, man.
Tell me about 5 man. Let me tell you about 5 man. I'm moving for the fruits and everyone.
Behavior like this is one sure way of chasing our guests away from St. Vincent and the Grenadines and killing your own business. Stop visitor harassment. Your business is important and so is your approach. Let's all work together to ensure our visitors feel comfortable while visiting St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
A message from the Ministry of Tourism and Industry.
Tourism today, tourism tomorrow, tourism always.
If you've just joined us, you're viewing a presentation of the Agency for Public Information. On our featured presentation this evening, the crowds at the annual Fisherman's Day celebrations have grown tremendously over the years. And with the 40th anniversary of the event this year, many persons turned out to celebrate the accomplishments of our fisher folk who risked life and limb to bring to our shores schools of fish. It was a beautiful day. The atmosphere was charged with excitement. The API's Sharice John has more in this comprehensive report.
Fisherman's Day 2015 was truly a sight to behold, as thousands of Vincentians and visitors descended upon the Calico playing field to pay tribute to our local fisher folk. As this year marks the 40th anniversary of this unique tradition, it is evident that Fisherman's Day will continue to be a premier event on the national calendar. Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Agriculture, Industry, Forestry, Fisheries and Rural Transformation, Raymond Ryan, congratulated the Fisherman's Day Committee on the successful staging of another Fisherman's Day, noting that after Carnival, Fisherman's Day is now one of the longest celebrated traditions in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Permanent Secretary Ryan also highlighted the importance of the fishing sector to the economic development of our country.
Except for Carnival, Fisherman's Day is the longest running national event in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It demonstrates the commitment of fishermen to their profession and the importance of the fishing industry to the nation. Congratulations to the Fisherman's Day Committee, the Fishers and the Fisheries Division for their tremendous work in sustaining the event over the years. The fisheries sector will continue to play an important role in human nutrition, in the fight against hunger and poverty, and more generally, economic development of this nation. The demand for fish and fish products will continue to grow, and at the global level, consumption of fish as food has doubled since 1973. And the developing world has been responsible for over 90% of this growth. Much of it from small-scale fisheries as are being operated in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The fisheries sector, however, continues to face a number of formidable challenges: climate change, technical barriers to trade, the continuing global crisis. It is important for us to understand that better harvesting technology and improved fish marketing and distribution systems and adequate ancillary services is required. Fishers must lift their game in order to realize the potential for increased fish production. There is money to be made from the fishing industry. And while the government can and has been creating the environment for investment, fishers and other private sector stakeholders must play their part and take advantage of the many investment opportunities which exist within the fishing industry. In order to meet the nutritional, social, and economic objectives of the fisheries sector, it is essential to ensure the sustainable use of wild fish stocks, the sustainable development of aquaculture, as well as to minimize the negative impacts on our environment.
Chief Fisheries Officer Jennifer Cruikshank Howard, in her remarks, gave a brief history of the event, noting that Fisherman's Day was originally staged as a means of boosting the sector and removing some of the stigmas associated with the fishing industry.
Fisherman's Day in St. Vincent and the Grenadines was first celebrated on Easter Monday in April 1976, and the weigh-in and prize-giving ceremony took place at Canash Beach. This event was organized by the St. Vincent Yacht Club, and two of the persons who played a leading role and were responsible for this important day to the fisherfolk of St. Vincent and the Grenadines were Mr. Fitz Richardson, deceased, the former owner of Richardson Motors, and Mr. Harold Morris, also deceased, the fisheries officer at that time, who was tasked with the mandate to manage the industry. A total of 27 boats participated and landed 5,112 pounds of fish that year. The first fisherman of the year was Mr. Harold Clasp from Rose Place. The purpose of the initial competition was to give the fishing industry a much-needed lift and accelerate the removal of some of the stigma usually associated with fishing, and also bring social benefit to fishermen and their families. For this, the 40th anniversary, 40 days of celebrations were organized. The committee was comprised then, 30 years ago, of the Fisheries Division staff and the members of the Lone Fisherfolk Cooperative, at that time, the Goodwill Fishermen's Cooperative Society of Rose Place. The changes were considered as keeping with the development of the fisheries sector, which was taking place at that time. There were the proposed construction of our current fisheries complex in Kingston, that is the Fisheries Division's office, and the Kingston Fish Market, and also the popularly known Little Tokyo, our bus terminal. The competition was seen as essential in creating a sense of goodwill and brotherhood between the fishermen on one hand and the consumer and the government on the other hand. In 1990, a junior fishing competition was introduced to the youths involved in the industry, and this competition is still on the calendar today. Mr. Andreas Young of Barley won the first junior fishing competition, he landed 24 pounds of fish. Today, he is a proud fisherman and has been involved in the harvesting and marketing of fish locally for his family business. In 1992, the first female fishing competition was held, and the Fishermen's Day Committee should be congratulated for organizing such a significant event in the context of women playing an ever-increasing role in the development of the fishing industry. I'm proud of our women. The inclusion of women was demonstrated to women folks that the industry is not totally male-dominated and that women can play the additional role of harvester and not just marketing, as was the traditional role. Miss Theresa Jack of Edinburgh also made history as the first fisherwoman of the year with a total of 11.5 pounds of fish, which she landed. The future of this celebration has always depended on the ongoing contributions and the effort from the government and the private sector. The expansion of the competition from 1 day to a week and now 1 month, it should be obvious that the issue of a large budget must be addressed. In the mid-2000s, the National Lotteries Authority was approached to assist the fisherfolk of this country and has been making a significant contribution to the event. Today, the National Lotteries Authority is the single largest sponsor for this event, and the committee would like to thank you for your continued support. Special mention has to be made of the St. Vincent Brewery for their support over the years, and most of all, the government and St. Vincent and the Grenadines for its financial commitment and support throughout the years. In the history of this event, the venue has moved from Canash to Calico Beach to the Fisheries Complex in Kingston and back to Calico, just to accommodate the massive crowds on several occasions.
In his remarks, Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Soboto Caesar, noted that although the region faces great economic challenges, he believes that the fishing industry must still strive to be a competitive player on the international market.
It must be recognized that this year's 40 years celebration is convened in a period where the Caribbean region and the rest of the world has been experiencing severe economic and financial constraints over the past 8 years. This was significantly influenced by the onset of the international financial crisis of 2007-2008. Our objective as a nation is to strive for growth that would enhance our social and economic development. The challenges we face in so doing must never be seen as roadblocks, but as opportunities to create homegrown solutions and possibilities. Therefore, it is only obvious that our planning and management processes must be more strategic and result-oriented if we are to make any meaningful progress in this challenging environment. It cannot be business as usual. It cannot be business as usual for the state apparatus. The Fisheries Division and the Kingston Fish Market are key stakeholders working on behalf of the government to advance the fisheries subsector in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We must become more convinced, now more than ever, that fishing is a very important business. That the business environment is competitive and the future of our fishers' existence in the marketplace is dependent on our ability to compete. Our ultimate goal is to ensure that our fishers succeed. In order for our nation to become competitive, on the international market, our scales of production and consequently our volumes must increase. This will position us internationally as a reliable supplier. It is encouraging, however, that today the Farmer Support Company has had to make an adjustment to its original design and has started to take on board applications from fishing communities. There are applications for loans from fishers being considered, in the aggregate amounting to approximately $1 million. Evidence has shown that the local as well as the regional fisheries sector is a major contributor to food security, poverty alleviation, foreign exchange earnings and savings, an important source of protein and minerals, and the provision of sustainable livelihoods and social well-being of our people. We have a nation to build. The fisheries subsector provides many opportunities for us to continue in direction of economic growth. The responsibility is therefore ours. May God continue to richly bless us all.
In his featured address, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves fully endorsed the statements made by the Honorable Soboto Caesar and further stated that although the fishing industry contributes significantly to the economic development of our country, he believes that this can be improved.
I want to congratulate first of all those who have been involved in this activity. I want to adopt everything that Soboto Caesar has said and call what he has said my own, and would add some other remarks. We have over 2,000 persons directly involved in the fishing industry. And indirectly, we have another 2,000 plus. It's a significant number of people who are involved in fisheries. And the count which they gave me about the annual contribution to the economy is over $10 million. That's a lot of money. But we can even do better. And we have to use this occasion as to how we can do better. You may want to find out how we make all that money. In 2014, we landed in St. Vincent 1.6 million pounds of fish. And we have to be careful that when we are fishing, we don't have illegal fishing, we don't have unreported fishing, and we don't have unregulated fishing. I'll explain to you why all those three words are important. I want to repeat them. Illegal fishing, unreported fishing, and unregulated fishing. Now you will have some people who are not supposed to fish in our waters and who get involved in fishing in our waters. That's illegal. And we protect our waters. That's why we have the Coast Guard. That's why we invest the money in the Coast Guard. Of course, we have more seascape than landscape. And we need more Coast Guard vessels. But I have the number what I could now afford and what President Obama gave me. But as you know, with these things, the more I catch my hand, the more I buy. To protect us, all of us. Now, we have signed on to international laws, international agreements. In addition to what we call our territorial sea, which is 3 miles going up to 12 miles with the contiguous zone. We also have an exclusive economic zone of 200 miles. But clearly, we don't have 200 miles between ourselves and Barbados, for instance. It's 100 miles. So what we do, we take the baseline and we use a midpoint. So I can't have all the 100 for myself, and Barbados can't have all the 100 for themselves. You understand how it's done? And currently, we are having an agreement with Barbados within the context of the international law of the sea. And we are working also with the OECS. And that's why, in addition to fisheries, this government set up a department called the Maritime Department, Maritime Administration. And that is Commander Robin, who used to be in the Coast Guard. We put him in charge of that. You have to have experts in this area. You begin to understand how you have to put the things in place to get it right. And the Maritime Administration also registers vessels. The Fisheries Division keeps a registry for the pirogues which operate in our waters. But we also register other ships. But that's Maritime Administration, which helps us to deal with our exclusive economic zone. So we have people who would want to come to fish in our waters. I know people say that Taiwanese fish in our waters, but the Taiwanese ships which we register cannot fish in our waters. They fish for Atlantic tuna in the high seas. And the high seas is the province of mankind. But illegal fishing is not only people who come and fish in our waters, and our law is very strong. And anytime we catch anybody, we are entitled to seize the boat, take all the fish, take the tackle and everything, and the law courts will impose a big fine on them. But if they come from the rest of the OECS, we don't usually take the boat them. We just take the fish and the tackle and let them pay some money in the courthouse, and we send them back with the ship. Because, you know, there are our brothers nearby in the OECS now. But if you lose your tackle and you lose a fish, and you have to pay some money in the magistrate court, you ain't going to come next time. But there is also illegal fishing when you fish, for instance, lobster out of season. And the reason why we have seasons for the fishing, for the lobster, for instance, is because if you overfish the lobster, our waters will be depleted. And that is just like in the book of Ecclesiastes. There's a season for everything. There's a season for plant, and there's one for reap. Well, who wrote Ecclesiastes didn't deal with lobster. But there's a time to leave lobster and let them grow, and a time to reap them. That is the unspoken part of Ecclesiastes. Then we need to have a check as to what we are fishing. So you can't have it unreported. We need to know how much we are catching, and we have to regulate it because we have to preserve it and develop it for ourselves and our children and for our economy. That's why those things are important. So we catch in last year 1.6 million pounds, which is about 3% more than we landed in 2013. You know how many vessels we have which deliver those? Mrs. Cruikshank, she gave me the list here. There are 735 fishing vessels registered. You didn't know so much, eh? 735. Now all the vessels which we have for fishing, we give duty-free concessions on them. You hear me? We give duty-free concessions, this government, because we want to encourage people, more people to get involved in the fishing industry. And if your vessel get damaged in a storm, we help you in replacing it. We have I put $6 million last year with Saboto in the Farmers Support Company, but it's also involved fishermen. So the fishermen can go there and get a loan up to $20,000 at 2% interest. When you go to the bank, you have to pay 10 and 12. So it's a good deal to go by the Farmer Support Company in the Ministry of Agriculture. You hear me? That's one way in which we help the fishermen. And I want the young men who are interested in fishing and who love the sea to put yourself in a good order. Talk to other fishermen. Talk to people in the co-ops, the fishing co-ops, so that we get good young men. And I believe we will get some good, strong young women to get involved as fisherwomen. But in the first week in June, I am going back to Rome again. The Food and Agricultural Organization is giving St. Vincent and the Grenadines another prize for being among the best in the world for reducing undernourishment and poverty. You hear me? And the fishermen and the fish vendors and everybody in the industry help with that.
For Fisherman's Day 2015, the results of various competitions were as follows. In Class 2 of the Fisherman's Day competition, the third heaviest catch went to Augustine Warner with 100 pounds of fish. The second heaviest catch went to Julian Bradshaw with 314.75 pounds of fish. And in first place, the winner of the heaviest catch for Class 2 was Stanley Bradshaw with 364.25 pounds of fish. Mr. Bradshaw also went away with the top prize of a 15-horsepower Yamaha engine. For the Class 1 category of the Fisherman's Day competition, for the third heaviest catch in Class 1, Bernard Dublin landed 1,430.2 pounds of fish. The second heaviest catch went to Philroy Matthews with 1,811 pounds of fish. The heaviest catch of the day for 2015 went to Andrew Gould and Philroy Matthews with 364 pounds of fish. The first heaviest catch and Fisherman of the Year 2015 went to Ray Anthony Clark with 3,111.8 pounds of fish. The API caught up with the overall winners of the Fisherman's Day competition in the Class 1 and Class 2 categories.
I'm here with Mr. Stanley Bradshaw, winner of the Class 2 category of the Fisherman's Day competition. How do you feel about winning this event?
I feel good, but this is not the first time. It's about 4 or 5 years and I don't win already.
But this year, the competition was spread over 6 weeks of competitions. Every Monday they would. How do you felt about that?
It's good. I want to see the weather white out there. You can't see the mark too. Fishing good, But it was good, right?
So I guess this year you won because you know some old tricks. You have some tricks up your sleeve.
Yeah, I feel nice, right? Happy, right? Yeah. I good. I cool, right?
So how you feel about the 6 weeks of competition? You think it's better to have it 6 weeks or just the 1 day?
It's very nice, so everybody must fish every day. Some that sit at home and they're lazy, they must go out and fishing. Yeah. Go out and fishing every day. As long as you're getting bait and the weather good, go and fish, man. Yeah. You have family to mind, you have to fish, right? It's nice, right? Really nice bunny. Right? I love you.
Okay, so I think this isn't your last competition. You're going to enter more competitions from here.
I'm getting old, we got nearly 70 years. I'm 69, right? Yeah, but I think I'll make it next year again.
You don't think you can make it?
I'll make it next year.
I think you can make it too. Well, Mr. Bradshaw, congratulations, and I pray all the best for you for the next Fisherman's Day.
Okay, love you, right?
Mr. Clark, congratulations on such a glorious victory. I think many of the patrons here showed you their appreciation because they know you did a very good job landing the heaviest catch in St. Vincent for the year. How do you feel about winning the competition this year?
It's an overwhelming feeling, but I didn't do it by myself. I did it with the help of my crew members, and we did our best, and it's a glorious feeling because we're winners.
Yes, and this year it marks the 40th anniversary of the Fisherman's Day competition, and this year they implemented a new initiative to have competitions spread over 6 Mondays, which poses a challenge to fishermen. But how do you think that 6 weeks of competition worked out for you?
Well, it's a little bit more challenging because you have more hours, you have more days that you have to wake up. It's not just one day that you wake up early, you get off your bed and you sacrifice. It's 6 days now, so it's 6 times the effort. And it's a greater feeling because you know you've done it. You've climbed that hurdle and you've tread the treaders and you've done it. So it's great, it's marvelous.
And this is the first time you won the competition?
Yes, it is.
So this is something that you definitely embrace and you would want to encourage the Fisheries Division to continue this 6 weeks of competition?
Yes, however they put it, we're going to compete. Whether or not it's good or bad, we're going to be there.
So the endurance, the stamina, the things that you have learned, you're going to pass on to your children because I saw your children on stage with you.
Yes, the older one, Ray J, that's his boat. He's already been doing that. He's been going out with me a few days, off and on.
And you seem to be a very young man, so when did you get into the fishing?
Well, I left school after community college, and then I just get straight into fishing because I decided that there's no work I can do in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that would pay me the kind of money that fishing does. So I sacrificed everything that I've learned in school, but I've put some of it into my fishing. I must give respect to Dabby Singh from the St. Vincent Grammar School. He was one of my teachers that encouraged me in geography and had me passing it when I was in grammar school. That I say because I use my GPS right now and I use coordinates, I use all that, and that's one of the things I've learned in school. Fishing is just great, and for the whole of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you don't have to be trained up in school. You don't have to feel left out. There's always an opening in the fishing industry for all those on the street that feel there's nothing else to do. There's always a room. You just got to be willing to learn, make the sacrifice, and you will earn. I promise you.
And your crew members, are they new or have you been working with them for a while?
Well, Tevin here, he's just starting to get into the fishing business, and my boy, we call him Hooker. I don't know the reason for that name, but he's been in it for a while, but he's just started fishing with me actually, and we make a great team.
Well, it's evident that you're a great team because you won this competition for the first time, and I wish you all the very best in the years to come. And I do hope next year we'll be seeing you up there again.
Yes, I hope so too.
Protecting a marine environment, a forest, a wildlife for our children.
Pollution
of our rivers and beaches. Deforestation and overfishing threaten to destroy our biodiversity. Protected areas are set aside by law to protect these fragile ecosystems, which provide us with water, food, electricity, and recreation. Tobago Keys Marine Park, Kingshill Forest Reserve, and Milligan Key Wildlife Reserve are examples of our local protected areas. Be inspired and help preserve what is naturally ours.
Let's value nature. Protected areas protect life.
A message from the Environmental Management Department and the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority.
Thank you for staying with us. In our final presentation this evening, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is among 5 other countries within the region to be selected to compete in a National Marine Pride Public Awareness campaign. The event is being held under the theme, Our Marine Life, It is a Beautiful Thing. Spearheaded by the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority, the launch, which was held last week, saw various stakeholders in attendance. Here's more on the launch and the activities planned from the API's Sheridan Lewis.
Gonna love my country, love my land, Vincent. Love the beaches, love the sun, Vincent. Love the rivers and all the sea, Vincent. Gonna protect it in every way.
The Eastern Caribbean Marine Managed Areas ECMAN project was launched here at the Paradise Inn on Friday, which was also celebrated as World Biodiversity Day. 4 local entities received grants in support of Sustainable Marine Life projects, which is a component of the local competing project. The project is being implemented by the National Parks, Beaches and Rivers Authority in conjunction with several government ministries, NGOs and individuals. The ECMAN project is being funded by the German Federal Ministry of Environment, Nature Conservation and Building and Nuclear Safety, BMUB, and these agencies have awarded a grant of €4 million towards the project. A total of 6 countries within the region will be competing. Director of the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority, Andre Wilson, highlights the importance of the marine life to the socio-economic climate of this country.
The launching of the National Pride Marine Public Awareness Campaign under the theme, Our Marine Life, It is a Beautiful Thing, and the Livelihood Support Small Grants Program is being administered through the OSS Commission and falls under Component 2 of ECMAN. This Component 2 seeks to build strong constituencies for sustainable livelihoods and ocean use. This really means that we should, in our local context, have a public that essentially through their actions and use of our marine resources demonstrates care and wise use of such spaces and resources. This morning, through this event, we bring into focus important element of the value and importance of our marine space here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that supports and underpins many important aspects of our economy, social life, and generally sustains us as a people with a historic maritime connection that spans centuries, ranging from fishing, transportation, and recreation to tourism. At this juncture, for us as a people to be able to sustain our beneficial coexistence with the marine environment necessitate critical interventions to conserve and preserve our beautiful marine resources, and in some instances, reverse and restore degraded marine areas and marine life forms, including our reefs, beaches, corals, and marine waters. It must not be taken for granted that we will always naturally have occurring beautiful beaches for us to swim and bathe, clean and lovely seas for tourism industry uses, healthy and abundant fish stocks to support our fishing industry, and many other socioeconomic purposes, especially at a time when both natural and man-made impacts adversely affect our marine environment, including climate change. Thus, the need for intervention, such as the ones we are undertaking today. As we embark on this creative National Pride Marine campaign over the next 6 months under the theme, Our Marine Life, It is a Beautiful Thing, I will also like to encourage and appeal to other private sector companies to join us in extending the reach and positive impacts of the public awareness program. As for example, Salt EC Limited, through their local manager, has done today by partnering us along with the Annisville Villa service station operator by offering the public petrol customers today the chance to win free gas. Both this afternoon at the Fountain and also at this afternoon at the Fountain service station, we also have been given the opportunity by Salt to have an information educational booth, and we are really happy for this gesture, which was all facilitated at very short notice. We hope that other corporate entities and civic-minded citizens will partner with us over the next 6 months as we climax the public awareness campaign at Independence. Today, it is particularly rewarding and gratifying, both personally and from a National Parks, Rivers and Beaches institutional perspective, particularly given our mandate as a government institution linked to the Ministry of Tourism to be involved in a project that not only advocates conservation of important natural areas and resources, but is providing through this project for on-the-ground activities to give real effect to sustainable utilization of our marine resources. We certainly hope this will have long-lasting, demonstrable success stories and benefits to all stakeholders involved.
In giving an overview of the campaign activities, Communication Manager of the Ministry of Tourism, J. Belmar, highlights some of the challenges associated to the protection of marine resources here.
Marine protected areas are important to tourism, recreation, and fisheries in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. However, we face some challenges. So some of the challenges that we face, we have siltation of our reefs, we have the leaving of derelict boats and different junk on our beaches. We have the bleaching of our corals. So we do face a lot of challenges that we have to try to reverse on this campaign. So this is who we are. The campaign is a marine conservation campaign that is conducted at a national level, which seeks to increase national pride, encourage widespread stakeholder involvement, which you can see Sol is involved, Paradise Beach. So we have many stakeholders who have agreed to partner and team up with us on this campaign. And we hope to promote conservation and the sustainable use of our marine resources. So our local theme, each island, we were told to select a local theme, and our local theme is Our Marine Life, It's a Beautiful Thing. So our mission is to raise awareness in SVG among our key target audiences to affect positive behavioral and attitude changes and to improve and sustain the quality of our marine resources. So locally, as you heard, the National Parks is the implementing agency for this project, and the Ekman project will be implemented across 6 OECS countries, namely St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Grenada. But in the end, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we're going to win this project. The campaign and competition will run for a duration of 6 months. As part of the competition, all participating countries will design and implement country campaigns and compete regionally. So the campaign will be evaluated based on a multimedia report that we will present to from the national teams. So we'll be evaluated on the campaign design and the plan, the partnerships that we create. We have already started that, so we're on our way. Implementation and the measured impact, external funds that are leveraged to support the campaign. So although we are being given $10,000 to implement this campaign, it is expected that we then leverage funds from other stakeholders and other partners. So we hope that those who are listening to us and you have interest in our project, that you'll partner with us, because we really want to win this project. And it's not just about the project, but it's about protecting our marine resources, because we have to preserve it for generations to come. So we were told to select 3 issues. I know we have other issues, but at the training, we're told to select 3 issues that we wish to tackle during the 6 months. So our issues are unsustainable use of resources, pollution, and the lack of awareness of the value of our marine resources. So Our goals, we have decided to make it easy that people can remember. So we decided our campaign goal is CPR. If you know what CPR is about, it's about giving back that kick that you need to bring something alive, right? To re-energize and to jumpstart that life again. So CPR. So CPR, connecting schools, stakeholders, hoteliers with the marine resources and their values. P, protecting and conserving our marine areas by encouraging positive actions and attitudes through sustainable use. And the R is raising awareness levels on the importance of our marine protected areas and the benefits to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Belma further outlines that the campaign mainly targets schools, hoteliers and the fisherfolk, and will climax on October 27, 2015 with a National Day of celebrating our marine life. Belma further reveals some of the activities the organization has embarked on.
For some of our campaign activities, we will be having a fish fry, a mural, body art, which you will have a chance to see today. I don't know if you've seen body arts on in St. Vincent and Grenadines, so please take as many pictures, tag your friends, tell people about our campaign. We'll be having a water week for the children because they always want something to do during the summer vacation. Facebook page, we have a Facebook page, join us, tag us in anything that's marine like. We'll be having a music video, but today we don't have the music video, but we do have a song that we had some of our local artists collaborating on, and Mr. Mark Cyrus, he would have written and produced the song. So you'll have a chance to hear our song. Hopefully we could even have it previewed for our road march. It's a very good song. I'm sure when you hear it, you'll be dancing to it. We'll have a poster competition, and I think that was conducted by the Fisheries Department, and they would also have posters, school visits, we can't leave the kids out, and other contests. So look out for the many activities that we have under this campaign. So look us up on Facebook. This is who we are, SVG.
Program Manager of the Eastern Caribbean, the Nature Conservancy, and Regional Manager of the Ekman Project, Dr. Sherry Constantine, explains how the project will be funded.
We have a small grant project which is being implemented by Sustainable Grenadines and the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority. It is about strengthening the marine managed areas, and they selected 2 sites. Well, right here, the South Coast, what is going to be the South Coast Marine Park, and the Tobago Keys, TCMP. And so there are a number of activities planned under that small grant initiative. And for that project, in total, the country will receive about 150,000 euros. So they've already allocated initiatives for the first half of this money, and later on this year, they will allocate the funds for the second half. We are here today to launch the livelihood projects, and Ms. Noville, I must acknowledge her, because we've spent some very, very long, painful hours trying to work through the 6 countries and all of the applicants. I think so far, Joan, we've received 27 applicants from the 6 countries, and it's a really difficult thing trying to work with the stakeholders, build the capacity. But we don't just want to have projects where we say, oh, well, we funded 19 projects in 6 countries, but we want to know at the end of the day that the projects are successful. So my pledge, and I'm imploring the people who are receiving the funds, the 4 entities, it has been hard, it will be hard, but we're hoping that we've put in the groundwork so that your projects will be successful, and even beyond the life of Ekman in 2017, you will continue to see the gains and reap the benefits from your initiatives. The third thing we're doing is the This Is Who We Are campaign, and Jay did a really good job of introducing the campaign. I just want to say that it's a regional initiative, it's a competition. We designed it as a competition because we felt that the countries would be a little more pumped and a little more excited and do a lot more activities if it is that they were all competing. So if you think the excitement is high in St. Vincent, you have to go to some of the other countries. And they've all come up with some really, really interesting things. So if you travel to any of the other countries, you will see the campaign logo, This Is Who We Are. That is a standard logo for all 6 countries. There is a This Is Who We Are song. It has been revised by St. Vincent, but the This Is Who We Are, that tagline, that is constant throughout the countries.
In stressing the importance of the project's sustainability, Dr. Constantine pointed out that some of the goals include building capacity and developing regional data platforms related to protected areas.
So we're also working on a marine spatial plan for St. Vincent. One of the objectives of the project is to designate and declare new marine managed areas. St. Vincent has decided that there was a marine spatial plan that ended in 2010 for the Grenadines, and we would like to have better management of the marine space along the entire coastline of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we're working alongside the Commonwealth Secretariat and the agencies here in St. Vincent to develop a marine spatial plan. And we actually had a team of persons, and they're actually in the Grenadines right now, collecting some of the footage for us to map all of the habitats within the waters of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and they should finish that soon.
Meanwhile, OECS representative for Livelihood Small Grants, Joe Norville, emphasized the importance of sustainable development, noting that the goal of this project is to encourage positive attitudes towards the environment.
We recognize that St. Vincent and the Grenadines, like the rest of the OECS countries, they are small islands. Well, and it said gems in particular, and if we take a good look here, we'll see that what happens on top impacts what happens in the sea. I mean, we have no choice, so though we're talking about marine managed areas, we recognize that that is impacted by land-based activities. And I think the campaign today talks about pollution, or its focus on pollution, and that is a major thing. So I will not continue there because I'm sure that at the end of this campaign, we are hoping that there'll be a difference in terms of pollution. I would just like to talk more about the livelihoods and to say that for the Ekman project, and Sherry mentioned it, we want to see that successful enterprises, we want to demonstrate that successful enterprises can come out of the proper use of the biological resources. So sometimes people will say you cannot conserve our biodiversity, our natural resources, and yet still expect to get money and to derive benefits, economic benefits from that. That is definitely wrong, and we are hoping that this livelihood projects would show that.
A number of exhibits were on display, all in keeping with the preservation of the environment, but specifically the marine life here. And two of the artists, Keith Currency and Mentalist, who were a part of a cast of local artists featured on the public awareness campaign song, This Is Who We Are, also showed their support. The song was produced by Mark Cyrus. Reporting for the API, I am Sheridan Lewis.
This brings us to the end of this evening's presentation from the Agency for Public Information. You can join us again on Thursday evening at 8 for another program. Remember that you can now join us via Facebook at the Agency for Public Information SVG and on YouTube at the Agency for Public Information SVG to access all of our programs. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Dion John wishing you a pleasant evening and a wonderful work week.